center fielder and Marshfield, Wisconsin hometown hero, Daulton Varsho. Daulton, congratulations. So what a successful season you had last year. Gold Glove winner. When you started this whole thing, where was Gold Glove on your list of things that you wanted to do?
Um, I think as overall, I mean, obviously started out being a catcher and then moving to the outfield, and for the past couple of years being in that nomination part. I think for me to be able to finally win it and just be able to kind of be able to put that patch on my glove, it's pretty cool because there's not a lot of people in that baseball arena to be able to get to that point. And so when you're able to show how much work and dedication it takes to be able to be the top in that position, and obviously it's really cool because you're the only one in that league to be able to get to it. I think it's a pretty cool honor, and obviously the next step is to be able to get to the platinum part. And but I think overall, just seeing all the hard work and stuff I've done over the past couple of years of moving positions from center to right to left, and then finally being the primary spot in center field, I thought it was pretty cool for me to win it this last year.
What is it in you, do you think, that allows you to go look at the lineup card and see I'm not a catcher anymore, or I'm in right, now I'm here. What is it in you that just says, okay, coach, I'm going to go out here and give you 100% today?
Yeah, I think it's just obviously catching. There's a lot more stuff that goes into it. You obviously have a lot more scouting reports, understanding that, and I think that's what's helped me a little bit, being able to adjust to the outfield and understanding how our pitchers pitch and what they want to do, what they need to get to, and being able to use that to help me get better jumps and stuff like that in the outfield. So whenever I'm penciled in for the outfield, obviously figuring out what ballpark I'm playing at and knowing kind of what walls I need to kind of understand and be able to know which ones I can run into, which ones I can't. But obviously understanding all that, putting that all together, and just kind of having a good plan. And obviously when your name's written in a lineup, it's always a special time.
Yeah, for sure. What now? I mean, center field are you locked into that going forward throughout your baseball career?
Obviously that stuff changes. But I think this coming year, I think that's where I'm kind of lined up to be. Obviously I love it out there, and I think I can control the other corner outfielders. And when you sign other guys like Anthony Santander, where he's going to play part time in a corner outfield, and George Springer is going to be out there and right for the most part, I think. And obviously, when you can kind of have a collective core, is going to be out there enough, and if you can keep guys in certain spots, I think that just makes communication out there, understanding how everybody plays, and you just kind of figure out what balls one person can get to, the other person can't. So you just kind of play it by ear. But when you have a revolving door, when you have a bunch of new guys out there, it makes outfield a little tough. So when you can kind of keep the group a little bit smaller and knowing that you're going to have 3 to 4 guys out there, it's pretty fun because then you can understand everything. And it's just like you don't have a new person coming in trying to understand the communication. So it was a little bit tricky last year with kind of understanding that. With we had so many guys coming in and playing the outfield, but when you kind of get locked in with a certain group of guys, it's really fun.
You left the year with an injury, so just catch us up on that. What's your timeline going forward?
So the doc told me that I could be the opening day DH. Obviously, that kind of goes with understanding day by day of how I progress and kind of get to that point. Obviously, the throwing part's going to be the hardest part, and being able to stretch out my arm, kind of getting back to it, because you're stuck in a a sling for 6 weeks, and then it's just like, how do you get the range of motion back and stuff like that. So it was a tough off season for me because obviously I couldn't do a lot of things I love to do, being outside and being outdoors. Because obviously at that point for the first 3 months, it's like you don't want to fall and trip on it and kind of brace yourself. So understanding that and kind of knowing that where I'm trying to get to takes a lot of like courage and effort just to kind of sit at home and kind of do nothing and go through your rehab. And who listens to this and going through rehab, it sucks. Like it does. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but it's just how do you push past to that point and knowing that, okay, at the end of this, I'm going to be in a better spot. So I think I've put myself in a good spot to be ready for opening day. And obviously the team will kind of have to decide.
Talking to Gold Glove winner, Toronto Blue Jays, Daulton Varsho. You were able to avoid arbitration. You did get a 1-year deal signed. How do you and your agent see things going forward now with the accolades that you have? Tell us about that side of it.
Yeah, obviously during arbitration, they kind of tell you what their team's going to kind of shoot for, what we're trying to kind of shoot for, and then it's like, how do we meet in the middle technically? So obviously they did a great job, and they kind of helped me out through that whole that process. And obviously every player doesn't want to go to arbitration, like they don't want to go to a hearing, because it's just it's a lot of things that you as a player kind of just don't really want to hear. And I think as part, like the owners and the GMs, they don't want to really say that about the player when they know the person. But I think overall, like they kind of take care of it, and you kind of stay in the back end of it, of like they'll just kind of have good communication throughout the whole day. And usually a lot of the stuff happens on that last day, of where you see all the deals and of what guys make in arbitration. So it's kind of a wild time, because a lot of stuff gets done within that last hour.
It seems to me, Daulton, you'd be a guy though too that would play for a brat and a soda. So I think you don't worry about those things too much, and that's a good attitude to have. Last year at AL East, a really tough division. It could be said the Toronto Blue Jays, were the best, worst placed team in the league. That probably doesn't do a whole lot for you and the guys, though. So talk about the team goals for this season.
Yeah, I think we got to get back on track. Obviously, last year we had a rough stretch with injuries, and obviously trying to get everybody kind of getting back to who they are. We brought in a lot of really good coaches, I think, to help that standpoint, and I think help us push through kind of the offensive parts of things, where we weren't good with runners in scoring position, and the homer aspect was kind of down after kind of the renovations. And I think we brought in a couple really good coaches to help us out, and I think if we can focus in on a team of understanding how to run the bases correctly, play defense like how we've always been able to have, and obviously the pitching has been great the last 2 years. So obviously, if we can push all that stuff kind of out our head, and kind of push the media aspect of like not letting it run the clubhouse, I think we're going to be in a better spot.
So let's go back to your high school playing days. Let's talk to some of the kids now around the country, but here in central Wisconsin, that have their eyes set on the upcoming baseball season, or softball for that matter too, on the girls' side. We're about 2 months from the season starting now. So when you were 15, 16 years old, what were some of the things you started to work on with the season about 2 months away?
So obviously, when that kind of happened, 2 months away, I was already kind of hitting, getting ready, throwing a little bit. But I think a lot of it kind of comes down to of like other sports you're playing. I mean, I think as an athlete growing up in high school, I mean, you want to play as many sports as you can, because I think when you get so stuck on one sport, it's just one of those things where you kind of get bored, and like you stop kind of aspiring to be the best. And so like I think when you're playing other sports, and you can combine with having different goals, different ideas, having team games, having individual games, it creates a different type of atmosphere and competitive nature that you kind of can be able to bring out. So for me, football, like I think helped me being able to transition to this outfield portion of my career. So I think playing defensive back helped me be able to do that. So I think there's so many things that you can train that you want to be able to do. But for the baseball part, it's like obviously there's no other sport like hitting a baseball. It's like there's nothing you can do besides keep training that. And obviously, like a lot of people probably don't have facilities that like I grew up with, but it's going into the backyard, going in the basement, playing certain games to try to be able to manipulate yourself to be able to do those things. So when we grew up, it wasn't always just having an actual baseball bat and a baseball. It was a tennis ball and a stick. Let's go play stick ball. And you had one base, and the garage door was home. So it's like you play that, and it's like it translates. And growing up playing tennis, it's like hand-eye coordination. Can I hit this ball, and being able to manipulate it? And now with the game with like pickleball, like what a great skill to be able to play with anybody in your yard. You can play in the basement. You can do so many things with it. And I just think it's certain things where you can do to be able to not really just train for one sport. It's something you can train for all.
I think that is a lot of excellent advice there. And coming from you, I think it probably hits home a little more for those kids that are watching right now. Daulton Varsho, best of luck this coming season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sent to deep center. Varsho is back and made